We are looking at the March paper assignment, which is your second paper for English 1101. And if you haven't read this on your own yet, I would do that first so that you can come back to this video and see where you kind of match up with what I'm going to go over, and hopefully I can answer some questions that you have coming into this. So I have my sticky note up just like I did with Dolly Parton, so let's get to it. Paper number 2, March. What role do you play in determining your own future? So we've got a question, an essential question, just like we did with Dolly Parton. We are going to be reading March Book 1, March right here, and this is part of a trilogy, but we're only going to read the very first one. So let's unpack this assignment section. There are only 2 sentences, but it's like everything you need to know. All right, so the assignment is to find a thematic moment from the graphic novel March by analyzing 3 to 5 panels, focusing on the juxtaposition, which I went ahead and pulled up. It says the fact of 2 things being seen or placed close together with contrasting effect. So maybe 3 to 5 panels that go against each other. But we could also, the panels need to work together. And we will be looking at example papers so that we can see what that really means. The panels need to work together. Okay, to do so, focus on the juxtaposition between words and images should be written about. Because remember, we are reading a graphic novel. The pictures are just as important as the words. Okay, so theme, I want to go ahead and make this note. Theme, we will have a whole lesson on this. And this word panels, this is in panels is in the introduction to graphic novels lesson. So if you are like the week of this paper being due and you don't know what a panel is, you're in trouble. So please go back and work through all the terms and concepts in that very first lesson, so that like if you email me asking what a panel is, that's going to be an issue. Okay, that's going to be an issue. All right, so paper assignment, logistics, 2.5 pages. Oh, let's back up. MLA always. 2.5 pages, no more than 4. Okay. And then just as a side note, always italicize the title of the novel in your paper. Works cited page, 3 citations, the book, and 2 outside sources. We'll have a lesson on this too. Okay, and then remember that the works cited page does not count towards page requirements. It should always be on its own page at the end. So even if you have 4 full pages for this paper, which is a very easy thing to do, page 5 will be your works cited page, and that's exactly how it should be. Okay, the description. I am not going to read all of this to you, but I want you to read it on your own so that you have kind of an introduction to the novel. All right, so it's about and written by former Congressman John Lewis, who recently died, actually. And so you might have seen him in the news if you haven't heard about him previously. But this third line down, while yes, you need to provide a very concise summary, and now we're getting to what we actually need to write. Okay, so we will have a summary, but it will not be the whole paper. This is not a book review. This is not just a retelling of the entire book. You are focusing your summary on focuses on just the panels you choose. Okay, you're not covering the whole civil rights movement in 3 pages. Main focus hones in on just one piece, okay, one piece. Now, after your short summary around your panels, okay, now we need a description using graphic novel terms and concepts. That is a PDF on Moodle, and it is a huge part of the Introduction to Graphic Novels lesson that you have to complete. Okay, and then we move on to analysis. Counts the most. Okay, it's the most important part. Alongside these basics, you should have 2 reputable sources, which we mentioned here, 2 outside sources. Make sure these sources work for you, but don't take anything out of context. That will be part of a lesson later on. Suggest one source about graphic novels and one that supports historical significance. So let's go ahead and make a note. Outside sources. Ms. Burcham suggests one about graphic novels and the other about historical, historical context. Okay. The novel does not count as one of these two sources, but must be on your works cited page. So again, we have it up here. 3 citations, the book, and 2 outside sources. Now, this is something I did not do for your dolly paper because your dolly paper was broken up into 3 very distinct sections. This one is not. This one's a true paper where you have your intro, you have your body paragraphs, and you have your conclusion with a works cited page at the end. So this is a big deal right here. I don't often hand this out. I usually make you do this and we go over it in class, but well, we're not in class. We are just doing this. So here's a rough outline. Now I want you to know that this does not equate to paragraphs. Yes, your intro will be a paragraph, and number 5 down here, yes, your conclusion will be a paragraph. But the rest of this stuff, you need to break it up when you should break up paragraphs, okay? So introduction, do not start your paper with March is a graphic novel about. Oh, it hurts. That hurts so badly. So I have given you a link to my number 1 go-to resource. This will tell you what not to do and what to do as you write your introduction. Most important parts of the entire paper, and it's just 1 sentence. All right, so your introduction will end with a thematic thesis statement. And as another gift, in addition to this outline in general, I have given you a template for your thesis statement, and all you have to do is fill in with what's in brackets. So if your panels are all on 1 page, you will insert your theme and then say, as demonstrated in March Book 1, on page, and then you give the page number, analyzed here. If you can fill this in correctly, you will get full points on this. If your panels span more than 1 page, you'll still insert your theme, as demonstrated in March Book 1, on pages, so plural, list page numbers, analyzed here. Now, we're going to go into this, but love and hate and injustice are not themes. Those are motifs. So if you say injustice is demonstrated in March Book 1 on page something analyzed here, you're not wrong, but that's not a theme. And so it's not going to fare well for you, okay? I'm sorry, you're not going to fare well. But there are some templates for you. You're welcome. Okay. And then summarize the part of the story that your story panels are from. Okay, so number 2, this is where your body paragraphs are going to start. So all of this will be just 1 paragraph. Your summary will be probably 1 paragraph, but it depends kind of on where your panels are, what part of the story, a lot of things. So number 2 isn't necessarily just 1, but remember, your paper should focus on a whole lot more than just summary. Number 3, describe your panels using specific graphic novel language. Again, that's in the Introduction to Graphic Novels lesson. Analyze the panels. This is where multiple paragraphs will come in. What's really going on? This is the bulk of your paper, and then you end with your last paragraph, your conclusion. Again, here is a handout on conclusions, what not to do and what you should do. So please read that page. Your 2 outside sources can come in at any point, so just make sure you incorporate them well. Now, submitting your rough draft. Okay, if we are in person, then we will have an in-class workshop. If we are still online, you will submit it to Moodle digitally and follow the checklist available. So as I'm recording this video, I am in the process of continuing to put this unit online. We'll see. Okay, now this is the way your paper is going to be graded. You know what? Let's make one more note here. Okay, use the outline on page, what page is this? Page 2. And use the thesis statement template. Okay, and then that pretty much covers all the additional notes I would want to make. Now, our rubric for this paper looks a little bit different. What you're seeing over here on the left, the criteria, this would make a good paper. This is the goal, everything over here. Right here is how many points you can earn for that section. So completed on time, this is really a 10 out of 10 right here. Formatting, the most points you can get is 10, but let's say your citations are not in MLA format. That's going to knock that 10 points down pretty far. So there's a lot of things included in this one section, but then do note, no credit if paper does not meet page or minimum page requirement. So if you turn in 2 pages, you will get 0 out of 10 points. And I guarantee you that if it's that short, you haven't covered everything you need to cover, so you will lose points in other areas as well. So then your introduction, again, follows UNC guidelines. Thesis statement, out of 10 points, paragraphs and organization. So all of this, I believe, is pretty self-explanatory. The bullet points here are what you are trying to achieve. So like in-text citations, every bit of outside information is cited. Citations are formatted correctly according to MLA guidelines. All of this stuff, these things are the goal. This is how you earn the maximum number of points. And then, depending on if we're in person or online or whatever, I'll be putting notes over here in this right-hand column. All of the points, of course, add up to 100, and this is your next big grade. So that is your March paper assignment.